You've made it to the home of Blerd on the Street, where three black women talk about their geeky interests, nerdy pursuits, and current events. If you like our show, please leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Special thanks to NPR Girl and Phaedra220 who've already left us reviews. You can always find us on Instagram at Blerd on the Street and Twitter at Blerd Street. Now, on to the show.
Hi, I'm Jillian. A matcha latte and my Nintendo Switch are never far from my reach. You can find me at jillian.corinne on Instagram.
Hi, my name is Jenna, and I think coffee, books, and makeup are life. You can follow me on Instagram at PhillyGirlJL or on TikTok at PhillyGirlJLH.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I run on flat whites and raspberry scones. You can find me on Twitter at Elise on Life. That's ALISEONLIFE.
Today we will be discussing the new Marvel venture, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. If you haven't seen it yet, our review is going to be full of spoilers, so skip this until after you've seen it.
What would you give it out of 10? I'll start there.
Overall enjoyment of the movie in general, I would say it's probably an 8 for me.
Okay.
What about you, Jillian?
So overall, I agree. I would give it an 8. I thought it was very visually stunning, so I'd give the cinematography and the graphics and the effects a 10 out of 10. Just beautiful. The acting was lacking for me in some parts. Tony Leung, who plays Wen Wu, the main villain, he really shines. I've really liked him for the first time I saw a film that he starred in. I was in film class in college, and this is maybe like 10 years ago. So I've been in love with this man for a while. So I was really expecting big things out of him, and he just like stole every scene. But I didn't mind some of maybe like the bad acting. I think like it could have been excused. It didn't bother me as much because I felt like stronger actors kind of made up for it in some of the other scenes. And so I guess I'd give that aspect of it like maybe a 5. Kind of neither bad, neither good. I really liked the different topics that they touched on, especially family, and being there for your loved ones during a period of shared loss. So I'd give that maybe like a 9.
Factoring all that in, and Jenna, you could add to your comment too. What would you say, like a average and overall kind of enjoyment or satisfying outcome score would you give?
Overall, I'd give it an 8.
Okay.
I think. Just because the cinematography was really great.
Mm-hmm.
The fight scenes were beautifully choreographed, and also believable at the same time. And some really standout actors who really made the movie and the themes shine.
Okay.
I do have to agree also. Tony Leung is fantastic. I have been in love with him forever too, as Jillian, to quote Jillian. And I love that he was in this movie, and I think that that made up for a lot of it, honestly. I also think that if this wasn't under the Marvel franchise, that I may not have given it such a high score, but I liked that it's kind of being folded into the MCU, and I like that MCU is becoming much more diverse.
There is a difference between Asian culture and Asian American culture.
Right.
So, like, I think a lot of people conflate the two. Like, a Chinese person in China goes to the movies and sees themselves all the time on the screen, right? Like, they don't have to be like, oh no, I don't get any representation. But in America, in Hollywood, Asian American people don't have that same feeling. There's only so much we can say about even Asian American representation too, since that's not our heritage.
Right.
Right.
It's not.
It's
not really
in
our wheel.
Right.
Right. It's not in our wheelhouse.
I don't know if I was as happy with it as you two seem to be.
Okay, all right, give it to us. Give it to us.
I mean, okay, so Tony Leung, nobody's questioning that he was amazing, right? I definitely think that.
Oh, and you know what's interesting? I didn't realize this was his first international film.
Yeah, I really like him. And I liked the sister. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I like a lot of her story, and I'm not sure that I like how they sort of left her in the end.
Yeah, a lot. It kind of made me feel sad. 'Cause I'm like, oh, you're leaving her at the compound again? I don't know if that was the right thing, but it made me feel weird. But then the end credit scene, I was like, oh, she'll be okay. But
I meant at the end credit scene. That's what I mean. Like that.
Oh, my bad. I thought you meant when Shang-Chi left to go back to San Francisco.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay.
No. I meant the very, very end. I mean, I sort of get the symmetry that they were trying to do there. Like, oh, now she's here under her own terms.
I never thought she didn't want to be doing what she was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that in terms of like how she was treated before she left by her father, like that was, she was basically ignored. I mean, I thought the whole compound thing was her trying to prove that she could be more than what her father thought she was.
Right. So in the movie, she says to Aquafina's character, like, if he wasn't going to give me an empire, speaking about her father, then I had to create my own. And she created like an underground empire. So that's already like kind of shady. And also, I thought based on the poster design that she was always a villain. And then I was surprised when it was just like, oh no, she's going to be fighting alongside her brother. But then at the end, it seems that she is going to be a future villain because she's continuing with the underground Ten Rings Empire. And also, something I say about Agatha and Val on WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, respectively, she's wearing evil people clothes. All right, Lily, it seems like you have more to say on the matter.
Let's just get it out there. Like, they've completely redeemed the Mandarin. They kind of tried very hard not to actually call him that name. And I get that they were trying to fix the mistakes of the past, but I wasn't happy with that at all. It definitely sounded like they were going to try to somehow revamp the image of the Mandarin and the Ten Rings.
Okay.
And I always had a problem with that. I always had a problem with making them sympathetic.
Yeah, he was a terrorist before he married her too.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
people are starting from saying, like, they've sold this story of, oh, he was suffering from grief. He was alive 1,000 years before
Yeah.
he met that woman, and he committed
Right.
actual genocides.
Yeah.
So I don't think that he can be redeemed because he fell in love. I'm not even talking about his actions after his wife died. I'm talking about up to the point where some woman looked at him and said, yes, we did this flirty little dance with our powers, and now I'm going to marry this man who's spent 1,000 years genociding all around the lands and who came here to take something from me.
Right. And her people.
Right.
But also, can we also note that that is a running theme in Disney, though?
Right.
Are we really that surprised?
No.
Yeah, but I agree. I also kept hearing people call her powers airbending, and that made me a little detailed.
I mean, she kind of
Just to interject a little bit. But yeah, I did actually really like that scene. I actually really liked that scene though, when she was like using I believe traditional Tai Chi methods and moves to take his power away from him. I thought it was really well done, and I really liked the even though the actors weren't saying anything, they could convey such emotion in that scene.
There was
That's
amazing.
kind of how I was looking at it. It was really great.
There was an
but
amazing amount of chemistry in that scene. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I love that scene because of the choreography. I thought it was fantastic.
The pacing of the whole movie kept throwing me off. Because, we're introduced to the villain guy, and that takes up a lot of time, which is fine. But then we get to our main character, Shang-Chi or Sean, in his garage, getting ready for work. And then he's at work, as a valet, and then suddenly they're like, okay, it's after, we're not going to go through the whole work day, obviously, just parking cars. But then we get to the bus scene, and automatically it's like a thing. There's really nothing to really get to know Sean before it's like, oh, you're this amazing assassin, but you're good, and I don't know. And now, oh, you're going to save us all. And it's like, now he's like a viral TikTok star. We get all of the villain's backstory, but we don't really get a lot of the motivations of Shang-Chi, our main hero. I mean, I like him. I mean, he's very likable, but I thought that was kind of missing.
One of my biggest problems with Shang-Chi was that I felt that the character development was very lacking. I thought that they could have done a lot more with Awkwafina's character. Where the hell did she learn how to drive like that? I would have liked to have known what's the background on that. Nobody just comes out, and can take corners like that and whatever. So I wanted to know about that. I also wanted to know about the whole archery stuff. In the end, when she's shooting the arrows and everything, she's like a dead shot for the first time she picks up a bow and arrow. There is skill and mastery, and then there's that.
I thought it was so cool how they did the choreography. And then Shang-Chi was really using all the elements in the bus to help him defeat the Ten Rings people that came after him. And that was really surprising work to me, and it was really interesting. And I forget the name of the man who did the choreography. I think it was Brad Allen, I think it was. It was just so beautiful. I was blown away. I think that was my favorite part.
There are parts that I liked, and I guess I will name a couple. I really like the part when they stole the Razor Fist car. Like, I feel like if your name is Razor Fist, like, I don't think you're gonna be like, a tax attorney or like a kindergarten teacher. Like,
Yeah.
if your name is Razor Fist, then you like have to be a villain.
Oh, it actually also kind of is a good, I don't know if it's foil is the right word, but we also have Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, right?
Speaking of, like, he thought that was like such a cool name, but it's like, nah, it's like, no, Razor Fist, that's the name you want. And then he actually has a razor as a fist, and you just Taserface, like, whatever.
I actually liked the scene where Aquafina like gets the bow and then shoots it. I thought that was, especially because this was coming at the end of the movie. I thought that was an interesting metaphor for like sort of drifting through life and maybe not taking anything seriously, because if you take it seriously, then you have to like try and you have to care when you fail or whatever. But sometimes you find something that just fits for you. It just slots right in. You're just like, I'm good at this. And it makes you feel good about yourself. So I thought that scene was kind of cool because I felt like that's what it was showing, right? Like this place where they went to was magical in a lot of ways. But sometimes something really mundane can also feel magical to the person it's happening to.
That scene at the end was my least favorite out of the movie. I didn't particularly care for it because I thought it was so amorphous, and it was like, what are you trying to say here? Like, what does this really mean for, the next entree in the MCU, or how is this going to connect in the future? I was like, what this to me, it just didn't really mean anything.
I have that problem with, I think, all of the end scenes that they do, actually, now that I think about it. And some of them don't even appear in the movie. So you're kind of like, what? Like, how is this going to connect? You don't even connect it to anything. But I don't like it when movies overtly try to set up a sequel throughout the plot. And I think Marvel's answer to doing that is to do it at the very end as like a mini bite-sized scene. So it's not like...
Right. Well, I mean, it said the 10 rings will return. So that's what that scene was saying. Right?
Yeah. But I thought it was also interesting.
We're back, baby.
They didn't say Shang-Chi will return.
No, they said the 10 rings.
I assume he will. Yeah, I assume he will because Wong said, well, be ready when we call you. So, I mean, we've gotten to the point where we know there's probably going to be a sequel to all these superhero movies, but I thought it was interesting that they said specifically the 10 rings will return.
I thought it was interesting that there were two sort of major things in terms of the 10 rings that they introduced. First of all, I don't know if either of you noticed, but when they went into the the fight where they had the arenas and the different fightings in the cages and stuff, they showed there was a Black Widow there.
Yeah, I caught that.
I saw that.
I thought the women that were fighting in the last credit scene were the Black Widows.
There also was another scene, like with Wong. Wong was fighting.
So the Abomination.
It seemed as if they were not enemies anymore, and that they were actually like fixing the fights, so to speak, or like
Yeah.
choreographing moves.
I don't know. Actually, I thought that scene was very parallel to the scenes in Ragnarok with the fighters.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that too. I was, and I honestly, when I first saw Abomination, like for the first like split second that I saw him, I thought that it was the guy from Ragnarok, the rock guy from Ragnarok.
Oh, what's his name? Korg.
But yeah, I picked up on those two things, and I thought that was something that they were possibly foreshadowing for a future, specifically 10 Rings movie, but just in general for the MCU.
Yeah, I didn't realize they might be doing it for Multiverse of Madness.
My final thoughts were that I thought this was an enjoyable movie. I would have to agree with Lily's earlier sentiments that I may not have seen this movie if it wasn't a Marvel branded movie. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I am also fully invested in these movies, but I did enjoy this. I really like the Asian American superhero, Shang-Chi, but I think we could have really, really loved him. And I think they kind of did him a disservice because we did have, I think, better pacing and more backstory from other white superheroes.
Well, this has been a great discussion about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the new Marvel movie out now in theaters. Stay tuned after the credits to hear some additional audio from the cutting room floor. Bye!
I kept looking for making sure to get people's name pronunciations correctly, and I couldn't find a lot of them, because they would just start the interview but not introduce who was there, and I'm like, dang it, I want to know how to pronounce her name.
Yeah, right. I don't remember how to pronounce Katie's Chinese name that she said in the movie, but I think the sister was Zhao Lin, right?
I think it's Xialing.
Xialing? Okay.
You could look it up on IMDb.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, I just don't want to go the whole time pronouncing it wrong.
I know, yeah. I know. That's
I'm actually now pretty paranoid about that, so I'm about to look it up.
Yeah. Can we just default or do a disclaimer? I'm sorry for any names we might mispronounce.
Yeah.
We don't do it intentionally. We did try to figure it out, but Google for once was not helpful.
And it says Katie.
The sister's name is Chinese, but I think it was only because she never went by her Chinese name. The only reason I remember it is because the father was like, "What's your Chinese name?"
Right, yeah. And they even have Simu Liu's name on Shang-Chi, even though he is Shang-Chi, it still says Sean, his Americanized name, on IMDb. Maybe sometimes they go back and fix it later, though, because they don't want to spoil the names for people.
I think sometimes.
I know, I've noticed that before.
But Michelle Yeoh's name was Ying Nan.
I don't remember hearing her name.
No, me neither.
She said it.
Maybe I just need to go back and watch again.
Wait, she said it once when she introduced herself to Shang-Chi. She said, "My name is so-and-so, I'm your aunt."
Okay.
But then I don't think they ever said it again.
Yeah, I was actually watching a video before this about someone else's take, and he mentioned that the YouTuber mentioned that the villain, he had a bunch of different names that were actually kind of racist. People realized later, so that's why his name is Wenwu now. So it's an actual Chinese name, and it's not it was something. It did actually sound a little racist. This is all about Marvel kind of fixing their past racism a little bit, and it's also interesting we're talking about names and identity. because like that was like kind of one of the major themes of the movie, and then also this behind the scenes stuff about correcting racism and past racism and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, here's the name. It was Fu Manchu.
Yes, yes.
Just kind of
Okay,
In
like,
the
that
original
is.
comics, it's Fu Manchu.
yeah, the comics was Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu. I remember reading an article about that, and I was like, wow, that is really racist.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for listening to Blerd on the Street.